My name is Valentin Simonov. I'm a software developer, creative coder. I got a blog where I write mainly about Unity, of course. I teach at Moscow University, and I speak at conferences about stuff. Well, you can follow me on Twitter or on GitHub. And speaking about GitHub, I'm the maintainer of this little library called TouchScript. It really makes, yes. It really makes development of multi-touch and gestural interfaces much easier. And it doesn't matter if it's an iPad, Windows 8 touch machine, or a really huge multi-touch wall. So if you're interested in that, it's free and open source. And back to what I'm going to show you. So I'm going to talk about projects I, as a member of Interactive Lab team, completed. So here you can see several projects of Interactive Lab, and none of them are essentially games. So not AAA games, not mobile games, not social games, but most of them were made for people to have fun. So they all have some game elements of some sort. Well, and we call them interactive installations, and usually it's hard to describe what an interactive installation is, because they're all very different. So I'll try to do it this way. Like you take a physical object, you add sensors, cameras, displays, projectors, and glue everything with software. Of course, and let people have fun with it. And surprisingly, Unity is very good in gluing stuff together. And for many types of projects, Unity might be as well your best choice. So I cannot really see you, but does anyone develop projects can be described like this? Pretty many people. OK, good to know that it is. But back to the title. So I want to show you 3 projects. And I grouped them by the title, Massively Single-Player Offline Games, and I hope you will see why. So this is the first project. So starting at around Christmas 2013 until the middle of January, when official Russian holidays end, Moscow hosted several fairs in the center of the city, and one of them was called Modern Moscow. And I guess it was called this way because instead of usual stuff, they were selling iPhone cases and smoothies. Well, so for this fair, we created an installation for people to have fun, and where people could generate by their actions and print generative snowflake postcards. Here's the video. So this is how it looked. We had a booth, and we had there, as you see, a big display and a Kinect, which would track your hands. So using just your hands and simple gesture like this, you could interact with this like snowflake and create this snowflake-like shape. And after that, your newly created postcard, this one would be printed, and you could send it right there to whoever you like. Well, as you can see, we had several different sets, like all the snowflakes were very different. Of course, everything was free. So, and the interface was very intuitive, as you can see. You just moved your hands and had immediate feedback. And when you think that you would print this snowflake, when you started liking it, you could just stand motionless and let it freeze, like this girl is doing. Come on, girl. Yes. OK. You probably have already guessed how it was done. Nothing extra complicated. We had as I said, we had several sets of geometry. So we would randomly generate a blob like this of geometry and use a simple shader to render this geometry as a snowflake-like shape. So which would you put on a camera as a camera effect? For a 2D interface, we usually use Scaleform. I personally come from Flash background, and I still think that if you want to create an animated vector interface really quickly, Flash is your only choice. And now you can embed Flash into Unity and really quickly create interfaces you like. And one more thing to mention, it's really important not to forget sound. So if you have an installation without sound, it doesn't have that level of immersion. But unfortunately, Unity 4 doesn't have decent generative sound capabilities, unlike Windows. I like Unity 5, of course. So what we usually do for our projects is we take Ableton Live, create a parametric track there, and send data through open source sound control from Unity to Ableton. So, and this is what we did here. And you could hear the sound changing as you were moving your hands and changing your snowflake, and it was like this small pieces of ice falling. So it was really cool. One thing which is very important, like if you're developing a mobile application or a social game, you usually don't think about where and when your game will be played. And that's completely different for installations because they're physical objects. They are standing somewhere. So it's really important to ask yourself, will this installation be outdoors and indoors? At this time, it was December, we thought it would probably be cold in Moscow, because in Russia in December it gets cold, really cold. So, and before coming up with this idea, we gave it a thought a bit, and of course, we didn't want for people to touch anything, especially with a tongue. And we also thought about adding a button on the floor so people could step on, like when they wanted to print a snowflake. But would it last 3 weeks? Probably no. Well, but we got lucky. It wasn't that cold, actually, so you can see it was +3. I'm sorry, this is the ugliest slide in my presentation, but I guess you just have to have one ugly slide. So we got lucky, and good for us that we didn't build anything from ice either. So we decided that for this particular thing, we would have 1 minute interaction time. So in 1 minute, everyone would be satisfied enough to print their creation. So I just started playing Boom Beach on my iPhone, and they have this really good tutorial which shows everything in the game, what you can do. So if you're building an installation, you can, to show people what to do, you can build a tutorial, you can implement familiar game mechanics, and what's very important is that you actually can place a specific person to every copy of your installation. So unlike mobile games, for example. So, and this person, so he could tell people what to do with your game, with your installation, but another important aspect is that you can offload part of the interface to this person. Like, for example, he could type visitor's name or press a button on remote control like this to make experience easier. And of course, another aspect is that to such physical installations, you usually can expect a line. So people standing in line, it's important that they are able to see what's going on. Well, so we did a little bit of everything, except we didn't have a special person standing there because it was winter. So we had, as you saw, easy interactions, just moving your hands. We had video instruction like this. We had a small in-game tutorial made in Flash. So like stand here, move your hands. When you're ready, just freeze. And of course, you saw there was a huge line, so people saw what others were doing. This is a line. Well, a line is actually very important, and you can, speaking in game development terms, you can funnel traffic to a game through the line. But also you can control how people use it. So for example, for this installation, it's important that only one person interacts with it at any given moment. So if it's important for you, if a group of people standing there completely breaks your installation, you should ensure that the line you set up works to fix this for you, that only one person can be there at the same time. I already said that line is a great learning mechanism, but we noticed one thing, that sometimes line can really screw up learning. So if one or two people start doing something wrong, this wrong behavior propagated through the line really quickly. So it was really hard to make people start doing right actions again. And of course, it makes the game social, not social in a sense like Facebook, when you post photos of your food for your imaginary friends to see. But social that you can actually talk to people, and you can yell at people trying to print 5 snowflakes in a row, and so on. And here we come to this. This smart guy once said, I told you guys never underestimate the power of free hat. So if you're giving something away for free, you need to really think about, like, people would take for free anything of any quality. And people will think that that you owe them something. And also you need to think about specific design decisions, and I'll tell you about one of them. So building this snowflake, we had this algorithm that would randomize this blob of geometry. And as with all random algorithms, sometimes the snowflake wasn't just good enough. So it would be either too small or either too big not to fit in the texture we were using. So we didn't think anything better than to put additional step in the game for users to confirm that they really like the snowflake and they really want to print it. And this was our mistake, because how do you think how many people used this in the first place, in the first day? So nobody. And we had to remove it. And this is how we find out. So we had a camera streaming everything what was going on in our booth. And it's a really, really good idea to do this. So we were sitting in the office, looking at the live feed, and trying to figure out how people interact with our thing. So looking at this feed, we were able to fix several interaction flaws, several bugs, and also capture tons of funny screenshots. All right, so once again, 3 weeks, more than 13,000 postcards printed. And these were really good postcards, so really good photo printer. So we used Unity, we used several common line C# utilities, Ableton Live for sound, Kinect, and the photo printer I was talking about. Well, the next one is another fair, but this time during Victory Day in Russia, which is in the beginning of May. And this time it was much bigger, so we were confident that we could do this. So we had 4 installations there, and but the event was a bit shorter. It was 11 days. So I'll quickly, this one. So where and when once again? May. It's about close to summer and should be at least not cold. It's pretty hot outside. And we were really worried about direct sunlight. And as you might know, Kinect really struggles to see anything through direct sunlight. So, but actually it wasn't that hot outside, like 6 degrees. And it was mostly cloudy, and we had a couple of rainy days. So once again, we kind of got lucky. So this is the first project. Like we took the snowflakes and obviously changed it to be stars. Like what else would you do for Victory Day anyway? So I'll skip this. The second one was augmented reality photo booth. So once again, we were printing something for free for people. This time, this cool photos with hats. And here's how it worked. So once again, you see a huge line to the booth. People willing to take a picture and take a free photo. So you would stand there. The audio instruction would tell you, like, stand here, smile. If you want to have another hat, just do whatever gesture. And after that, 3 photos would be taken, and you could print one of them. So something like this. It's a pretty simple case of augmented reality. So you would get, once again, a photo like this. And of course, it was done in Unity. That's why I'm here. Also, this time we wanted to have something specifically for kids. And I don't know if it's a Russian-only thing, this game, where you draw squares on the ground and whatever rules to jump on them. Is it? No? Yes? OK. So, so we built this thing. And I need a bit of audio on this. Next, just a bit. So this simple thing, as you can see, we had several LED panels, and when you step on them, they light up and sound plays. So this was for kids, and at the beginning of every day, max players of children would spawn there, and they continue to exist in such circular motion till the end of the day, basically. It was very fun to watch. And the last one is a virtual historic panorama. And even from the picture, you could probably guess how it worked. So in this white box, we had a panoramic image. You could basically see. Yeah, here it is. And so it was the same photo of the place which this thing was, where this thing was standing. And we had several markers inside, so you could rotate it and choose one of the markers, and the photo would pop up. This was old photos from World War II times. So you could see like how they were shielding their buildings, like what the cars looked like, and so on. So there were like, if I'm not mistaken, 8 or 10 of them. For a person would take like 40 seconds, 1 minute, just to check out all the old photos. And you probably guessed how it was done. So we had Windows Phone inside this, the Windows Phone with this big screen. And it was a very interesting experience to develop for Windows Phone on Unity. Because, how do you say that? So basically, we were part of the beta group, so we were able to get the latest builds. It's a really good feeling when you submit like 20 bugs total for the platform, which it seems nobody uses. And the next release notes, you see your bugs are fixed, and it's a really cool. It's a really cool feeling. If you want to be on the edge, you really should to sign up for beta groups. But one thing I want to notice is that mostly Unity is used to port your existing game to many platforms. Like you have a game and you easily port it to this and that platform. But for our specific case, most of the time, it's the opposite. So we have this device, a Windows Phone, and we were like, does anyone know how to develop for this phone? No. OK, I thought Unity can do this. Let's use Unity. So that's our case. And once again, I'm going back to the line. You see the line to the virtual panorama. And I specifically asked people, and nobody knew what was inside of this white box. So we as well could have put there a piece of paper saying nothing here, move along. And people would be standing there in line trying to get there and see this piece of paper. It's a really interesting behavior. Also, we were surprised at how people see software defects. So I'm a developer, and we had this face tracking algorithm there, which, as all face tracking algorithms are, it wasn't perfect. So it would sometimes lose a person. Sometimes it would just completely ignore a person. So, and I was taking these kind of things personally, like it's I built it, so it's my fault that something doesn't work. But apparently, people like these bugs, and very unusual behavior emerged, unusual gameplay appeared. So, and I'll show you just simple examples. So we had just one head per photo. And so if people wanted to take a group photo, they usually were trying to steal a head from each other. So one person would try to look more human as other ones. And it was very funny to watch. So hold the head. Of course, this is the perfect example of when the face tracking algorithm would fail. And this girl got very lucky that she got the hat. And this kid didn't get lucky. So as you see, his dad, or who is there standing, he didn't even want to take a photo, but he unintentionally stole the hat from the kid. And we were really surprised to find out that many people wanted to take a picture without a hat at all, because the photos were really of great quality. So you could take them completely for free and, I don't know, place on a bookshelf or something. So, and it really took some skill, again, to position yourself in such a way that the algorithm wouldn't think that you're a human. So that was another fair. That was Unity again. We had, once again, we had sound through Ableton Live. We had Kinect, cameras, photo printer. We used VVVV, Arduino, pressure sensor, and LED panels for this kids installation. And we used a couple of Nokia Lumia phones. Well, the third project. So as you might know, there was a football champion cup thing in Brazil. I'm not a football fan, so I don't know. So before this event, the FIFA World Cup trophy traveled a bit, as you can see on the map. And it was, so it was in Russia in March, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, so it had been there for 2 days. And there were huge lines of people wanting to take pictures with the trophy. So we created a room full of interactive stuff where people could basically wait for their turn to take a picture with the trophy and learn something about World Cup in general and about the upcoming World Cup. which, as you might know, will be in 2018 in Russia. So there were several objectives for this. To entertain visitors, to advertise the next championship, and to show people that the games will be not only in two main Russian cities, Moscow and St. Petersburg, but in 9 other cities in the European part of the country. This time we decided to do it a bit differently. As I said about giving away free stuff, we decided to give every visitor a ticket with a barcode, and people could interact with all these installations, I will show you later, and you could get points by doing this. So after that, you could exchange points for whatever prizes you wanted. They essentially were free, but we made people to do something with our stuff and to learn something new. So, of course, it was much better. And this also made people to strive for a specific prize they wanted, not just grabbing everything and leaving. So this is the room, and you can see now our new 3 of our new installations and some mini games. So you would place your ticket there, and here's the Brazilian player kicking the ball to Russia, like a metaphor. And in your turn, you could choose a city. So you can see there's like 11 cities. Very simple game mechanics, like Angry Birds. And here you would shoot and answer a question. If you answer right, you would score. If you answer it wrong, the goalkeeper would catch the ball. So you could see it like this. So questions were really simple about the cities, about specific events, about history. I was surprised that many people knew everything about this stuff. I'm repeating, I'm not a football fan, fortunately. This says level 1, 60 points. So, okay. And you could go this way to other cities. So once again, a metaphor of kicking the ball from one city to another city, showing that there will be many participants in the next World Cup. So this is how you would take specific prizes you want, like a baseball cap, hat, T-shirt, and then we chose the poster. And one more thing, we had this VIP badge saying that you're a super cool football fan, whatever, which were very popular actually. So once again, some entertainment for kids with virtual hats, but notice the guy, he is the host, and he is the part of the interface. So to take a picture, to write down the name and email for a person. Like a visitor didn't have to do anything by himself. So this is what we built. We wanted to make it simple. We wanted to advertise the upcoming championship and all the cities which will participate in it. Has any one of you been in Brazil this year? No? Okay. So anyway, if someone was in Brazil, he would probably see totally the same stuff we brought there, the same setup, to once again promote the upcoming championship in 2018. So once again, Unity, several installations, a lot of people, C# utilities, Flash, scale from barcode readers, everything glued together, and surprisingly had been working for 2 days without anything crashing or, I don't know, blowing up. Oh, that's me with the trophy. I bet you don't have such picture. So the stuff I like the most in presentations, unfortunately, not many of people talk about the challenges and the failures. So basically, what's up with the installation for kids? It's not for kids anymore since Kinect doesn't track children. It's good to know at the end of the project. But yeah, of course, Kinect does track children, but in our specific case, we had some problems with it. But anyway, so the first problem was with the snowflake installation. So I understand that that was naive for us, but at first we thought that we would just take a screenshot of a display and print it, but we ended up saying that colors on the photos are completely off. So we spent a lot of time calibrating, fixing. We ended up having completely separate pipelines for rendering on screen and rendering for printer. So as I said, we had 6 sets. We carefully configured all 6 cameras for these different sets to have really bright and colorful pictures coming up from our printer. These guys. So once again, winter, people in bulky clothes, especially children. It was a really frustrating experience to watch children trying to interact with that, but failing. These guys. So I perfectly understand the Kinect, like, oh my God, what's this 6-handed monster? What do I do? Once again, we learned that if something can go wrong, it will. So as I said, we had this random algorithm, and sometimes it would produce not something we would like to show. For example, this one. This is a snowflake number 10,000, and it didn't fit into the texture, as you can see by these defects on the sides. But I'm sure that the person who got this didn't even think that it was a bug. Maybe he would think that, oh my God, this is even more cool than all the others. But I know. And I cannot sleep at night. Of course, rain and sun. You should really think twice how do you want to protect your stuff from rain and sun when you're doing an outdoor installation. We did everything we could, actually, but anyway, we lost one TV due to rain. And we got asked a lot about where do I pay for this? Like how much does it cost? Once again, everything, all the postcards were free, but one day, a random group of people started charging for postcards. I don't know how much time they were standing there charging for postcards, legally, of course. You understand, right? But they were kicked out by security, of course, but I don't know how much money they got and how much postcards they sold. Graphs. It's good to have statistics, even for such projects like installations, because everyone likes graphs. Like everyone wants to ask questions, like how many something, 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 especially clients. Well, we've experimented a bit with different analytics tools, especially for mobile games. And we decided that all these tools don't do what we want, because first of all, they focus on irrelevant metrics, like where people came from, why they left. They came from the street and they left because the interaction time is 1 minute. Most of them don't work offline, and count one device as one user, which is not our case, of course. So we thought a bit further and figured out that actually this is a real-time logs analysis problem, which is a pretty much solved problem. And there are a lot of good open source free tools. So first of all, if you want to go this way, you can choose Logstash plus Elasticsearch plus Kibana combination. So Kibana is actually a really cool tool for generating graphics and other shiny visualizations. Well, but our projects are usually very short. So, and after, I don't know, 48 hours day near the deadline, like during the whole installation, the whole event, everyone is dead asleep usually. So no real-time logs analysis is needed. Nobody would take a look at it. So we ended up using nlog plus Splunk combination. So nlog is a really simple library for .NET to log stuff to like a lot of targets. And Splunk is an application to analyze statistics, to draw shiny graphs. It's kind of expensive, but it has a free version which does everything we need, and probably everything you will need. So some graphs generated as heads printed, nothing unusual. It's like the first, second, third, fourth holidays. So we were able to find out what heads were the most popular. So here we noticed that many people took pictures without heads at all. Unfortunately, we couldn't tell that what percentage was intended here and what percentage was a bug. But we figured out one more important graph. So as you can see, the yellow is photos taken without heads, and this reddish color is the retaken photos. So we had this feature, like if you don't like this photo, you can press retake button and do it all over again. So May the 9th is World War II Victory Day in Russia, and apparently everyone wanted to take a picture with the hat during Victory Day. That's an interesting insight. Well, this is for trophy tour. So we found out most important cities, nothing unusual: Moscow, St. Petersburg, Sochi, the host of Olympics. And as you can see, all the other cities, pretty much nobody cares about them. Oh, this is recorded. Shit. Well, number of questions answered. So it's like most people answered 18 questions. That's probably because like they wanted to get the most expensive prize. Notice that someone answered 67 questions, and I think it was me while testing this thing, but I'm not sure. We found out the hardest questions. The hardest questions, like with the most wrong answers. So it was very easy to change them or to completely remove them. It's really a bad practice to upset people, asking them something they otherwise wouldn't know. Session length in seconds. So you can see pretty usual spikes, and one spike at 0 seconds. I guess these were the hackers trying to hack our things, like inserting and removing the ticket. Actually, it's a very common problem of many offline things and installations. by doing this kind of thing, you can completely break them. But at least we know, and we took some precautions. And once again, someone spent 11 minutes. This might be me as well. Okay, fun stuff. This was pretty boring, I guess. Admiral Mittens. The face detection bug or feature, I don't know. I know there's a cat detection algorithm on GitHub somewhere in JavaScript. Pretty much can use it in our next installation. I don't know what happened here, but I think it has something to do with aliens or something. So we got this photo. This is our case for Nokia Lumia. We are going on Kickstarter with this. Yo, man, where's my photo? And snowman party in our booth. Anyway, I guess someone might have questions. So there are 2 mics. So can you dim lights a bit? I don't see a thing. Maybe someone has questions. Someone's going there, yeah. But maybe he's just going to the exit. No?
With the star display thing, you said that when people had to confirm that they actually wanted to take the photo, like that was the star that they wanted, that very few people confirmed it, or something like that. Could you clarify what was that? Like, and you took that part out.
Mm-hmm. So how it worked? It worked this way. Like basically, it was another unnecessary step in interaction. Usually should try to make your interface as easy and to have as few steps as possible. But there was this step, like you would freeze your snowflake, and it would say, okay, if you want to print your snowflake, like wait 2 seconds more. But people would do the following. They would wait while the snowflake froze and immediately go away, skipping this step. So the snowflake wouldn't print for them. And I understand it was a very bad design decision. But fortunately, we had this camera streaming live, and we were able to see this very quickly. And so you need to consider to give your friends, other people to test your stuff, because if you're working on something for I don't know, several weeks and you're always trying to fix something, you're already familiar with the interface, and common people usually look at interfaces very differently. Okay.
So when you talk about gluing all these pieces together, like microcontrollers and cameras and stuff,
yeah.
Do you end up doing that like mostly right in Unity, or is it Unity kind of one of the pieces that you're gluing together?
So we did everything in Unity, and what's good about Unity that it's .NET. You can use whatever stuff. You can basically find libraries, managed, unmanaged libraries. If for some reason you cannot include or link to Unity some code you would want to execute for the purposes of offline installations where you know 100% that it will run on this machine, you can as well run another application and use shared memory, sockets, whatever, to share data, images, videos. And so, so that's why Unity it's really good at gluing. I don't know how to say it better. Gluing everything together very quickly.
Thank you.
So you basically had to put these installations on basically in different cities and out there in the open. What kind of problems or solutions you guys have observed to protect these installations themselves, physically and technically?
You mean problems we have during setting up the?
I mean, during setting up or afterwards, basically, because you are basically it's not a new problem, but basically, you guys, you simply need to install these expensive installations and just leave them there. So, and these are devices that are supposed to be that attract attention and that are being interacted by people. So, any different or interesting problems that you guys have seen on this case?
Yeah, of course, when you're building something for people to use for 3 weeks, you need to be sure that it's rock solid. And that's why I mentioned that we considered other types of interaction, like stepping on the button, which is a really popular way of doing something without really moving your head or your hands. But we thought that it wouldn't survive for 3 weeks. Actually, I'm more a software developer guy.
Okay.
So the physical, technical stuff is just another topic. You just have to have people who know how to, I don't know, use a screwdriver, and to how to assemble everything so it would stay there for weeks. It's a whole another topic. We can talk about it like a bit after this talk if you want.
Thank you.
One more, right?
Hi. So I noticed in a lot of your setups, you use the Nokia Lumia phone inside the kiosk. Is that typically your preferred hardware choice? Like, is there any reason why it wasn't a computer or something backing it? Because it's meant to run like throughout the day, right? So you're looking at reliability things, yeah.
It's not our preferred setup. But we always experimented with stuff. For example, this Nokia phone, what's good about it, it's pretty powerful. It has a big screen, and we happen to have them like around. So, but I think that we would probably have tried to use Android, but I'm sure that we would find some bugs there too. So I don't know how to compare like all the other tablets and the phones. So I know what I can achieve with the iOS or iPad, iPhone. Now I know what I can do with the Windows Phone. The only thing we didn't expect is that while running this pretty simple application, actually, the phone would not charge fast enough. It was connected to the power source, but the battery was drained faster than it was charging.
Yeah.
So it would last like 3-5 hours, and we had to basically go there and put another one. So we have to switch between them. So otherwise, as I said, folks at Unity are doing a pretty great job at fixing bugs with Windows Phone platform. And if you're interested in Windows Phone, there's a lonely guy there in hands-on lab.
Yeah.
Well, so basically we chose it because it was big, it was powerful, and we wanted to try something new.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
All right, thank you.